Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wal mursaleen. Wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Alhamdulillah. From the beginning. Let me just say to everyone, good morning. As we usually say after the Eid, taqabbal Allah minna wa minkum salih al-amal. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us and from you our righteous deeds. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts from all of us our fasting, our standing, all of the righteous deeds that we did during the month of Ramadan, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us with a dawam, wal istimrariya, continuance and continuity upon worshiping Him and obedience to Him. As Allah says in the Quran, وَاعْبُدُ اللَّهَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. Worship your Lord until death overtakes you. So, death is the journey. Death is the end of our journey. It is the destination. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us with dawam, ala ta'atihi, that we continue to be obedient to Him and, continue to serve Him bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. I begin with dua, Allahumma arina al-haqqa haqqa wa razuqna ittiba'a wa arina al-batila batilan wa razuqna ijtinaba. Oh Allah, show us truth as it is and give us the ability to follow it, and show us falsehood as it is and give us the ability to stay away from it. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِنَّ مِنْ أَعْظَمِ الْجِهَادِ كَلِمَةِ الْحَقِّ وَكَلِمَةِ الْعَدْلِ عِنْدَ السُّلْطَانِ الْجَائِرِ. The Prophet ﷺ said that the greatest form of jihad, the greatest form of struggling in Allah's cause, is to speak a word of truth or word of fairness and justice in the presence of an oppressive tyrant. That is the greatest form of jihad. And another narration, the Prophet ﷺ said, أَلَا لَا يَمْنَعَنَّ رَجُلًا مَهَابَةَ النَّاسِ أَنْ يَتَكَلَّمْ بِالْحَقِّ إِذَا عَلِمَهُ أَلَا إِنَّ أَفْضَلَ الْجِهَادِ كَلِمَةَ حَقٍّ عِنْدَ السُّلْطَانِ الْجَائِرِ. The Prophet ﷺ, listen to this hadith so that you understand, the premise and the foundation of my discussion with you guys for the few moments that I have with you. All right? Understand that this is not just me jumping out there, as I usually never do that, right? My moves are very calculated, all right? But understand the premise upon which I'm building my entire conversation. The Prophet ﷺ said, أَلَا لَا يَمْنَعَنَّ رَجُلًا مَهَابَةُ النَّاسِ أَنْ يَتَكَلَّمَ بِالْحَقِّ إِذَا عَلِمَهُ. The Prophet ﷺ said, do not allow, no man should allow, pay attention to his words, no man should allow mahabat an-nas, his fear of people. No man should allow his fear of people, all right, to stop him or prevent him from saying the truth, إِذَا عَلِمَهُ, when he knows it. Understand, here again, I've been talking all Ramadan about speaking truth to power, and we are now I am now in a place where I got to speak truth to power. All right, so I'm not just talking about it; I'm about it. I don't just talk about it. I don't just talk Islam. I don't just get in front of a camera and talk Islam. I live it, and we're about to see me live this particular hadith out right here, right now. The Prophet ﷺ said, أَلَا لَا يَمْنَعَنَّ رَجُلًا مَهَابَةُ النَّاسِ أَنْ يَتَكَلَّمَ بِالْحَقِّ إِذَا عَلِمَهُ. He said that no man should allow his fear of people to prevent him from speaking the truth when he knows it. When he knows it. Pay attention to his words. When he knows something that is the truth, you should not allow your fear of people to stop you from speaking truth, because the greatest form of jihad is to speak truth to power. All right? He said, Inna afdal al-jihad kalimata haqqin inda sultan al-ja'ir. He said, the greatest form of jihad, the greatest form of struggling in the cause of God is to speak truth to power, to speak truth to an oppressive tyrant or tyrannical ruler. So that's the premise upon which I'm about to, lay my talk out. All right. And I'm not speaking truth to power in terms of an individual per se. I'm speaking truth to power in terms of the power that we believe that we have when we sit behind a computer on the internet. Because some of you guys really believe that you are in a position of power. You believe that because you can remain anonymous and you can sit behind a computer and you can type a few words, you can put up a post, that you believe that that puts you in a position of power. That makes you powerful. You can take a screenshot of somebody's page. You can take a clip from somebody's lecture. You believe that, you have the power to do that. You sit from a place of privilege. You scroll and troll on the internet until you find something that you believe is hilarious or funny or someone that you can ridicule and disrespect, and then you post it on your social media page, for everybody to see. And you believe that there is no consequences to that. You believe that there's no consequences to that. And many of us are guilty of that, man. Many of us are guilty of that. Not just the people that I'm talking to in particular. But many of us are guilty of that. And that's the power that I'm speaking truth to today. All right? And believe it or not, you're not in a position of power. All right? As I'm going to explain. But at the same token, it has to be addressed. All right. So sometimes our greatest oppressor is ourselves. Sometimes our greatest oppressor is ourselves. Our beliefs that are sometimes rooted in inaccuracies and fallacies that we've, accrued throughout our journey, misunderstandings of the religion that we've biasly imposed on other people, compromising their practice of Islam. Compromising their practice of Islam. All right? Or to whatever level of spirituality they are aspiring to. Everybody is not aspiring to the same level of spirituality. Everybody is not aspiring to practice Islam the way that the next man is. Everybody is working on their own journey, their own path. Although we are on the same path, our aspirations are totally different. Some people are in this for other reasons that other people are not into it for. But sometimes our greatest oppressor is our own selves, our beliefs that are sometimes rooted in inaccuracies and fallacies, right? Misunderstandings that we have accrued throughout our journey in this religion, that we biasly impose on other people, compromising their practice of Islam or their journey to whatever level of spirituality they are aspiring to. And I want to give you some Islamic context to this. Pay attention to this hadith, all right? This is my right hand for those of you on Facebook, all right? I told you guys I wear my watch on my left hand. So this looks like my right hand on Facebook. This is my right hand. Pay attention to this hadith. Did you guys hear what I just said? Now I'm going to give you an Islamic context to that. How sometimes the fallacies that we hold, the inaccuracies that we have about our religion, the misunderstandings that we have about Islam, we superimpose that on other people, compromising their practice of Islam. Let me show you how this works. Imam al-Bukhari and Muslim, they mention the hadith on the authority of Ubaydillah ibn Abdullah ibn Utbah, that Subay'a bint Harith al-Aslamiyya كانت تحت سعد ibn Khawla. She used to be married to a man by the name of Khawla. Sa'd ibn Khawla. All right. Subay'a. All right. Subay'a bint Harith al-Aslamiyya. She was married to a man by the name of Sa'd ibn Khawla. All right? فَتَوُفِّيَ عَنْهَا فِي حَجَّةِ الْوَدَاعِ. In the farewell pilgrimage, he died. All right? He died. Sa'd died. وَهِيَ حَامِلٌ. While Subay'a was pregnant with his child. All right? He died while she was pregnant. So now what do we have? We have two iddah periods that are overlapping one another. We have the iddah period of the woman whose husband dies, and that is, as Allah says in the Quran, arba'ata ashhur wa ashra, 4 months and 10 days. But then we also have the iddah period of the pregnant woman, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Talaq, that, her iddah period is over, إِذَا وَضَعْنَ هَمْلَهُنَّ, that when she lays down her load, all right, meaning when she delivers. So you have two iddah periods that are overlapping with one another. All right. So what do we do in this situation? All right. Pay attention how this situation plays out. So Subay'a bint Harith, she was married to Sa'd ibn Khawla. He died during the farewell pilgrimage, the only pilgrimage the Prophet ﷺ ever made in his lifetime. All right. While she was pregnant. All right. And right after he died, she delivered the baby. Right after he died, she delivered the baby. وَبَعْدَ وَفَاتِهِ وَضَعَتْ حَمْلَهَا. After his death, she delivered the child. فَلَمَّا تَعَلَّتْ مِن نِفَاسِهَا تَجَمُّلَتْ لِلْخِطَابِ فَدَخَلَ عَلَيْهَا أَبُو سَنَابِلْ ابن بَعْكَكْ فَقَالَ لَهَا مَا لِي أَرَاكِ تجملتِ للخطاب أترجين النكاح فإنك والله ما أنت بناكح حتى تمر عليك 4 أشهر وعشرة. So after she delivered the child, she finished her postpartum bleeding, all right, which she believes is the end of her iddah period. She believes that the iddah period for her is over once she finishes her postpartum bleeding. All right. So once the postpartum bleeding was done, she beautified herself. And I'm going to come back to that point because in today's time, you have many men who would like to make it seem like Muslim women are supposed to come out the house dressed like hermits, dressed like hobos, dressed like somebody who lives out in a trailer park somewhere, with all due respect. That this is the picture that some Muslim men paint of Muslim women, that they are supposed to come out the house looking like hermits. And the sad thing about it is that while we superimpose that on our Muslim women to dress like this, we are googly-eyed with every non-Muslim woman that walks past with a pair of tight pants on. It's just like we got to make our minds up what we really want. You telling your wife to look one way, but the women that you liking pictures on Instagram, you following women on Instagram, like you understand? But you telling your wife it's haram for her to beautify herself. We shame the Muslim women, right, into this place, this dark place of ugliness. This dark place of being disposable. We shame Muslim women into this dark, ugly place where they don't even see themselves as being beautiful anymore. Yet we turn all of our attention to the beautiful women on Instagram, the beautiful women that walk in the streets. Like mashallah. We have to make our minds up. And I'm going to debunk that today. Sisters, Wallahu al-Azim, I make dua for you guys. When I'm gone, you guys better learn your religion. That is the only way you're going to protect yourself from this toxic patriarchy. Not toxic masculinity, toxic patriarchy. Because you have Muslim men who run with this ayat, الرجال قوامون على النساء, men are the maintainers of women, and they run with that. That is not unconditional. That is not unconditional. Refer back to the lecture that I gave on restoring the autonomy of the Muslim woman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help you guys when I'm gone, man. I pray for you guys. Serious. Because if left to these brothers, wallahu al-azim, they will have you in all black shabby, raggedy shoes, never get your hair done, sit in the house all day long, have baby after baby after baby, following their every single command. You have no autonomy of your own. You have no brain on your own. You have no ability to think on your own. That's exactly the way they want you. And you guys better start learning your religion. I keep saying that. Learn your deen. There are many of you, I could call your names out right now, but I don't want to embarrass you. But there are many sisters that I know personally. And you know who you are because I've said it to you on numerous occasions. You guys have the ability to step outside of your shell and begin educating your sisters in Islam. You have the ability. You have the ability. I don't want to start calling names out, but you already know who you are, man. Some of you have been in my classes, have been in my courses. You have the ability to educate. Some of you are close family members. You have the ability to educate. Control your narrative as women and stop allowing these brothers to get up. I seen a post that Abu Khadija, I don't even know why this dude is still relevant. Abu Khadija, right, from the UK, puts out a post on, some of the etiquettes of the Eid, right? And I don't even know why we still need to be educated on the etiquettes of the Eid. I think everybody's pretty much aware of the etiquettes of the Eid. I think we're pretty much, because the etiquettes of the Eid are pretty much in sync with much of what's in our culture. Much of what's in our culture. We don't need to be told that, when we're leaving out, going to, an event or going to a special occasion, that we need to put on, cologne. We do that anyway. That's part of our culture. At least as African Americans, anyway. I can't speak for nobody else's culture. I can't speak for anybody else's culture. But as African Americans, we usually dress nice when we go into a special occasion. We usually wear our best. We usually, shower. We don't show up at the shindig smelling like, feet and we don't do that. That's not part of our culture. So this whole idea of let me educate you to the etiquettes. Understand that Islam is a deen fitrah. It is a religion that is in sync with the natural, design of the human being. The Prophet ﷺ said, I came to perfect moral character. I didn't come to bring moral character, because people had moral character, predating Islam. Islam didn't teach us how to be civilized. It taught Arabs how to be civilized. It taught Arabs in Arabia how to be civilized. But prior to Islam, you had nations all around the world other than Arabia that were already civilized, which is why when Islam came to Africa, Islam came to Spain, Islam came to other places, it was readily accepted because it was aligned, it was in sync with their natural disposition. They couldn't deny Islam because it was in sync. Here's a foreign religion that is coming to them from a foreign land, from a people who speak a completely different language, and it is in sync with the moral standards of the society. And that is what made people incline towards Islam. That is what made many of us convert to Islam. I didn't deny anything. Islam says be respectful to your mother. Islam says do this. Islam says worship one God. Islam says this. It made sense. It made sense. So Islam did not come to civilize people. It came to civilize Arabs in Arabia who were burying their daughters alive. This is no pun intended to Arabs, but if you understand Arab history, they were an uncivilized people without a doubt. Not as a whole, not in general. They had some level of civilization, obviously, to live and to procreate and to create societies. Yes, obviously, there had to be some level of civilization, civility. But some of their practices were inhumane, to say the least. Some of their practices were inhumane. And so the Prophet ﷺ said, I came to perfect moral character. He didn't say, I came to establish moral character. He said to perfect it. Because Islam is like the icing on the cake. The Prophet ﷺ, hence the fact the Prophet ﷺ, he said, khiyarukum fil jahiliyyah, khiyarukum fil Islam, idha faqihu, that the best of you in jahiliyyah will be the best of you in Islam. Meaning, there were good people prior to Islam. In that time and in today's time. So we don't need this constant reminder about the etiquettes of Jumu'ah, because it continues to put restrictions because it comes with its own interpretation. So this guy, Abu Khadija, subhanallah, alayhi min Allahi ma yastahiq, may Allah give him everything that he deserves. That's the only thing that I can say for him. Wallahu al-azim. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him everything that he deserves, whatever it is. If it's good, good. I'm not the one to intervene with that. But may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him everything that he deserves. This guy puts out a post that came across my timeline, that the etiquettes of Jumu'ah. And one of the etiquettes of Eid, right? And one of the etiquettes of the Eid is that women should not come out looking nice. Like mind blowing. So what should Muslim women come out looking like? Please explain that to me. I'm really confused. What should Muslim women should not come outside looking nice? What should Muslim women come outside looking like? Please. What does your wife come outside looking like? If you want to superimpose that on women, start with your own household. Start with your mother. Start with your wife, your sisters, your daughters. Don't come in the Muslim community, spreading your misnomers and your miseducation and your misunderstanding of Islam. You gotta be kidding me. And we're supposed to say, ala rasul ayn, yes, we're gonna accept that. All the brothers are supposed to go home and tell their wives, you can't look nice on the Eid. You can't look nice on the Eid. Put on this black abaya, wrinkled everything, because we don't want nobody looking at you. Understand, and I'm gonna get to the point that I want to get to. But understand that the purpose of the Muslim woman covering is for what? The purpose that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the Muslim woman to cover was to protect her. It's a protection for her. And in today's time, in many of our communities, even when our women are covered, they're still harassed. So it doesn't matter what she wears at this point, Muslim men. It doesn't really matter what the Muslim woman wears. It still does not serve the purpose in a community of uncivilized savages. Because Muslim women still cover and they're still harassed. You still send your son to go ask the sister if she married. Meanwhile, she 20 years married. You still iron the sister even though she has on a niqab. The hijab and the niqab, and you can put on many layers as you want, as long as you're surrounded by a society of men who have been conditioned to objectify women, whether they are covered or not covered. It does not matter. The hijab does not serve the purpose for which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the Muslim woman to wear it. And that's a fact. So you can say dress however you want to dress. She's still going to come out in a community and you're still going to have some weak behind man, Muslim man, looking for a victim to take advantage of. They still prey on you. It doesn't matter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran that she should put over yudnina alayhinna min jalabibihinna dhalika adna ay yu'rafna fala yu'dhain, that the woman should draw her veil over her entire body. This is so she will be recognized as a respectful woman, wala yu'dhain, and not harassed. Not harassed. Our women still put on the hijab and they're still harassed. Because it's never enough for a society of men who have been conditioned to exploit women in their beauty and to see them for nothing more than for me to, satisfy my desires. Whether it's to help me to get the Jannah, whether it's to have a couple of righteous children, it's still exploitation no matter how you look at it. because we still have not given them the equal footing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to give them. At any rate, Subay'ah, going back to the hadith, Subay'ah, she delivered her child right after her husband died. Right after her husband died. فَتَجَمُّلَتْ لِلْخِطَابِ. So she began to beautify herself to come out to get married. Because how is a man supposed to know that the woman is ready for marriage? So that has an implication within itself, that the Muslim women, right? The Muslim women, when they were ready for marriage, they had a certain dress. They had a particular dress by which they would indicate that they are looking for marriage. Meaning, she took off the black. She took off of the regular normal clothes that a woman wears when she's in her iddah or when she's not actually looking for marriage. فَتَجَمُّلَتْ لِلْخِطَابِ. And she beautified herself, whatever that means, in preparation for being proposed to. That's what the hadith says. Hadith is in Sahih al-Bukhari and Muslim. I'm telling you no lies. So a man by the name of Abu Sanabil, and there's a whole bunch of Abu Sanabils running around in our communities. And I don't say that in any disrespect to the Sahabi, but I'm looking at the concept. The concept that Abu Sanabil represents in this hadith is what I am referring to. And that is men running around dictating to women how they should practice their religion while having absolutely no knowledge themselves. That is what I am referring to. There's a whole bunch of Abu Sanabils running around our communities today, talking to women, shouting at women, talking at the Muslim sisters about how they should dress, how they should practice their Islam, and have absolutely no knowledge themselves, no wisdom. You carry around a bunch of information. Information is not knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made a clear distinction between those who know and those who don't know. هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Say, are they equal, those who know to those who don't know? And y'all still keep listening to people who don't know. People who don't know still grabbing microphones. People who don't know still getting in front of a camera telling Muslim women what they should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing. Let the empower the Muslim women and let them police themselves. How about that? And while we attend to other ills and dysfunctions amongst us as men, the jealousies, the immaturities, the insecurities, let's deal with men issues and leave the women to deal with let them police themselves. Let's empower our women and let them police themselves. Let them admonish themselves. You got to get up and go and advise the sisters. Man, come on, man. Miss me with that, man. Miss me with that. You got to be kidding me. Empower the women and let them deal with their own issues. Because quiet is kept, as men, we got a ton of issues that we still haven't dealt with for us to be grabbing a microphone telling the Muslim women what they should be doing. So she beautifies herself in preparation for marriage. She runs across a Sahabi by the name of Abu Sanabil, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And Abu Sanabil, when he saw her beautifying herself for marriage, he said to her, "Aturjina nikah?" He said, "Why is it that I see you beautifying yourself for marriage? Do you desire to get married?" He said, Wallahi. He said, Wallahi. He swore by Allah. Dead wrong and strong. He swore by Allah. He said, Wallahi, ma anti binakihan hatta tamurra alayki arba'ata ashhur wa ashra. He said, Wallahi, it's not permissible for you to get married until you go through the iddah period of the widow, and that is you have to wait 4 months and 10 days. Wallahi. Whole bunch of Abu Sanabils running around in our community today with the same mentality, trying to tell women what to do, trying to tell everybody else what to do. Meanwhile, you ignorant as hell of your own religion. So, Subay'ah, smart woman, sisters pay attention. Subay'ah, smart woman, she's conflicted because she's looking at the situation like, yeah, my husband died, but I was pregnant. I delivered my baby. I went through the postpartum bleeding. I should be able to get married. So she goes to the Prophet ﷺ, someone of knowledge, right? As Allah says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلِ ذِكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge when you don't know. Abu Sanabil was not a person of knowledge, obviously speaking from his own misconception, speaking from his own, inaccuracies, speaking from his own fallacies. The same thing that many of us do in our communities when we run around telling people what's halal, what's haram, and we have absolutely no clue what the hell we're talking about. So Subay'ah goes to the Prophet ﷺ and she tells him that my husband died, I was pregnant, I gave birth right after my husband died, and I went through my postpartum bleeding period, and I beautified myself looking for marriage, and Abu Sanabil comes up to me and tells me I can't get married until I go through the iddah period of 4 months and 10 days. The Prophet ﷺ, listen to what he said. The Prophet ﷺ said, Kadhaba Abu Sanabil. He said, Abu Sanabil is wrong. And if I had to translate that literally, kadhib means lying. But obviously the Prophet ﷺ is not going to call his companion a liar. So we wouldn't translate it like that. We have respect for the Sahaba, radiallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'een. So we use the best method of communicating the Prophet ﷺ's words without showing that there's some type of disrespect or rift between the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. We can look at his relationship with his companions and we can interpret his word in the best way. نَحْمِلْهَا عَلَى خَيْرِ مَحْمَلَةٍ. We carry it, we interpret it in the best possible manner. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to do that with the Prophet ﷺ and his interaction with his companions, and we're supposed to do that with one another. That if I make a comment, it is my right as a Muslim for you to interpret my words in the best possible manner. Because to do otherwise would mean that you have an agenda, which is not the behavior of a believer. It's the behavior of a hypocrite. Because you're looking for faults. So you interpret the word, in a manner that suits your desires, in a manner that would give you leverage to discredit this person or that person. And we do it all the time, right? Sometimes I'll be thinking I'll be speaking a whole nother language because I say something as clear as the sun, as the day in the sky. And then I turn around and look on the internet. Oh, Brother Shadid Muhammad said a word of kufr. He said blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, how in the world did you get that from that? Did I miss something here? Did I miss something here? Like, I speak clear English, right? At any rate, we know where it comes from. We know where it comes from. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Kadhaba Abu Sanabil. Abu Sanabil is mistaken. Abu Sanabil is mistaken. He said, Anti kad halalti حين وضعت حملك وقال سبيعة فأمرني بالتزوج إن بدالي. The Prophet ﷺ said that you are free to marry. Abu Sanabil doesn't know what he's talking about. He's wrong. And you are free to get married. Go get married if you desire marriage. You guys understand my point here? This is the premise of my talk. Men speaking without having understanding of the religion. That's what I'm talking about. So when I say, we got a whole bunch of Abu Sanabils running around in our community, refer back to the hadith to understand the context in which I'm saying it. So he was about to make her life difficult. Just imagine, she's ready to get married. For whatever reason, she's ready to get married. And he's about to make her life unnecessarily difficult. Unnecessarily difficult due to his own misunderstanding. Due to his own misunderstanding of the religion. And this seems to be very common today, in this day and time that we are living in, where we become so preoccupied with the trivial matters of the religion that we totally miss the main concepts of harmony and beauty of the religion. We get that are embedded in this binary system of halal and haram that is designed to make our lives as Muslims easy and morally sound. When we look at halal and haram, we just throw it around to make our lives difficult. Halal and haram is not designed to make our lives difficult. It's to make our religion look beautiful. But we use halal and haram to make the religion look distasteful. So therefore, many Muslims are not inclining towards Islam because of the way that we are using the religion. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ما كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا أمرهم من الأعمال بما يطيقون. Aisha, just giving you some context here. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to command the Sahaba to do things that they had the ability to do. He would never give them more than what was beyond their capacity. Looking out at the general masses. All right? Never give them more than what they can handle. Why? Because he didn't want to chase them away from the religion. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she mentioned in another hadith, she said, خَيَّرَ النَّبِيُّ مَا خُيِّرَ النَّبِيُّ صلى الله عليه وسلم بين إمرين إلا اختار أيسرهما ما لم يكن فيه إثم. That the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was never confronted with two situations except that he chose the easiest of the two. The easiest of the two. So as long as there was no sin involved, he would choose the easiest of the two. All right? To make the religion easy. The Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned himself, he said in an authentic hadith, يَسِّرُوا وَلَا تُعَسِّرُوا, make things easy for people and don't make things difficult for people. بَشِّرُوا وَلَا تُنَفِّرُوا, give glad tidings to people and don't chase people away. To the end of the text, the many texts that point to the leadership ability of the Prophet ﷺ, which fostered love and a desire for Islam, while much of what we do today is centered on chasing people away from Islam and making Islam look undesirable to Muslims. It's almost like we are the devil's advocate. That we are saying that we are Muslim on the one hand, but the way that we are promoting and propagating Islam, it makes it distasteful to the people. So it's almost like we are working against, our own plight, working against our own struggle. Counterproductive. So let me start with this whole E-drip 2019, right? Let me start with the E-drip, all right? Because the moment I do something, you always got a group of jealous, disgruntled ass brothers, excuse my French, that is sitting around waiting for me to do or say something to counter what I'm doing. And then don't realize that while you are countering Shadeed Muhammad, you are actually countering Islam. You are actually countering aspects of the religion out of your jealousy and your rage for me. You are hurting the Muslim community as a result of your pursuit to destroy me. Understand how that works. Waiting for me to post something. For the life of me, I can't figure out how a group of men who say you are astray, you are deviant, you are not Muslim, you're this, you're that, but you follow my every move. I don't understand it. Somebody bring some clarity to me for this. I don't get it. Wallah al-Azim, I have never looked on a page of Abu Hassan Malik, Abu Khadija. I have never looked on any one of those guys' pages. I have never looked on their pages, not even taken a peek at any of the things that they propagate. Never. I've never gone on their pages. I don't want to see anything on your page. Period. If I don't like someone, if I don't rock with someone like that, I am as far away from your page or anything affiliated with you as I can possibly be. Just hearing your name gives me anxiety. Hearing your name gives me anxiety. Seriously. God forbid I see you in public. God forbid I see you in public. I make dua that I never run into any of these guys in public. Like Imam Ahmed rahimahullah ta'ala used to make dua that he never saw Ma'mun. Ma'mun was the leader of the Muslims on that time who, were putting scholars to task for not saying that the Quran was created. And he was killing many of the scholars. And he sent for Imam Ahmed to come so he could debate with Imam Ahmed. Imam Ahmed was making dua the entire ride that I never meet Ma'mun. I never meet Ma'mun. And on his journey to go meet Ma'mun, they captured Imam Ahmed, tied him up, put him on the back of a horse, and they were taking him to Ma'mun. And Imam Ahmed's making dua the whole entire ride that, oh Allah, never let me see this guy's face. Never let me meet him. And before Imam Ahmed got to the palace of Ma'mun, Ma'mun died before Imam Ahmed got there. The dua of a righteous servant. I'm not saying that I'm righteous on any level, but what I am doing is making dua that I never run into any of these guys in public. Period. At any rate, the whole E-drip challenge, right? I started this challenge last year. And last year there was a lot of commotion, not as much as it was this year, right? Last year there was a lot of commotion. Oh, he's calling people, he's turning the Eid into a fashion show. Oh, he's a Muslim model. Meanwhile, you say that I am a Muslim model. I'm not a Muslim model. Thank you for the compliment, though. I really appreciate the compliment. I am not a Muslim model. I just simply post a picture of myself on Instagram, just like anybody else. Just like anybody else. Why can somebody else post a picture on Instagram and it's just a picture and it gets 2,000, 3,000 likes or whatever the case may be, your skinny jeans on, your white tee that's, 2 sizes too small, right? And you get 1,000 likes. And I just post a picture of me sitting down in a chair, just posting it, and I'm an Instagram model. Like, why do you exacerbate, as the Arabs say, to fakhim amrahu? Like, why do you exacerbate my situation more than what it is? Like, I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. At any rate, the whole Eid drip challenge, right? I started the challenge last year, and I did that to counter a lot of the weird, unnecessary challenges that were going on the internet. You had the ice bucket, water bucket challenge where, even some imams sitting in a chair pouring ice water on top of their head. Like, it's like, come on, man. Are you serious? I mean, and I'm not finding fault with any imam for doing that. Like, if that's your twist, that's how you get down. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool. I'm just saying, I don't think that that's something. I think that if we're going to do challenges, why not do challenges that actually challenge people? You know what I mean? And we're Muslim. So we work from a place of spirituality. We work from a place of intellect. We work from a place of empowerment and upliftment. That should always be our angle. Always. Always. We're trying to nurture that. It's deep. It's embedded in a lot of us. And it just takes the right person to bring it out. Look at the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba. These men, although they were uncivilized as they were, it just took the right type of leadership to bring it out of them. And they became some of the greatest people ever to walk this earth. You understand? It just took the right type of leader to bring it out of them. It's there. It's embedded. A lot of you guys are great. You have greatness embedded in you. You just have not had the right leader to bring it out of you. Because we got imams doing water bucket challenges, ice bucket challenges. That's why. You got imams holding hands with Christians and Jews singing Kumbaya, for the camera and for the politics of it all. And as a result of that, they failed to bring out the good that is in you. They failed to bring out the Umar bin al-Khattabs that are in you. A lot of our children have the names of the Sahaba, Abdurrahman, Umar bin al-Khattab. A lot of our children, we name our children with these names. But the names are not able to manifest in the persona of our children because the right leader has not emerged amongst us to bring it out of us. You understand? Because our leaders are too busy doing ice bucket challenges and singing Kumbaya with Christians and Jews. That's what our leaders are doing. The commercialization of Islam. Charging for everything. This is what our ummah has become. And as a result of that, the people that we are placed over, we are not able to stimulate within them the Umar ibn al-Khattabs that is in them, the Uthmans that are in them, the Abdurrahman ibn Awfs that are in them, the Mus'ab ibn Umairs that are in them, the Abdullah ibn Mas'uds that are in them, the Khalid ibn Walids that are in them. How in the hell you gonna stimulate that? When they go and sit in a khutbah and they sleep within 10 minutes of your khutbah. How are we going to stimulate that? Please tell me. But I did the Eid drip challenge to counter, a lot of the other goofy, weird challenges that were going on the internet, right? And, and it was a Eid drip challenge is something that is aligned with things that we already do culturally. We dress. We like to dress. There's nothing wrong with that. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, لا يدخل الجنة من كان في قلبه مثقال ذرة من كبر. That none of you will enter into Jannah who has in his heart a mustard seed of pride, of arrogance. So the Sahaba, listen to what they said. They say, Ya Rasulullah, inna rajulan minna yuhibbu an yakun thawbuhu hasan وَنَعْلُهُ حَسَنٌ. He said, O Messenger of Allah, indeed a man from amongst us likes his thobe to be nice and his shoes to be nice. That was cultural. They weren't talking about on the Eid. They weren't talking about on Jumu'ah. They were talking about in general. That there's some from amongst us who like to dress nice. Are you saying that that's arrogance? And the Prophet ﷺ said, no. He said, Inna Allah jamilun wa yuhibbu jamal. That Allah is beautiful and He loves to see beauty. Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. So when the Sahaba said that some of us, a man from amongst us likes his thobe to be nice, likes his sandals to look nice, that had nothing to do with the religion. That was just part of their culture. There's some people who like to dress nice. Nothing wrong with that. So if we find something in our religion that aligns with what we do culturally, why not use that to our advantage? I mean, it just makes sense. It just makes sense. But here again, you got a group of ignoramuses from amongst us who are hell-bent on countering everything that I do. Meanwhile, you are countering your own religion. You're countering aspects of your own religion. We like to dress. Nothing wrong with that. And that we can enjoy, like I wanted to do the Eid drip challenge because it was something that would take our minds away from the goofy challenges that we saw on the internet. And it's also aligned with something that we enjoy to do culturally anyway. And it's still aligned with our religious practices on occasion like the Eid and Jumu'ah. The Prophet ﷺ, he said in an authentic hadith, مَنْ اغْتَسَلَ يَوْمَ الْجُمُعَةِ وَلَبِسَ مِنْ أَحْسَنِ ثِيَابِهِ وَمَسَّ مِنْ طِيبٍ إِنْ كَانَ عِنْدَهُ ثُمَّ أَتَى الْجُمُعَةِ. To the end of the hadith. كانت وكانت صلاته كفارة لما بينها وبين جمعته التي قبلها. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever makes a ghusl on the day of Jumu'ah. Here's the Islamic context here, right? For, he's turning the Eid into a fashion show. Here's the Islamic context here. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever makes ghusl on the day of Jumu'ah, and then wears min ahsani thiyabihi, wears the best of his garments. And the scholars say, even if you got to go buy a new garment, buy a new outfit for Jumu'ah, and you have the ability to do so, that would not be considered israf, that would not be considered a waste, because you are fulfilling the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. He wears the best of his clothing. The best of his clothing. And then he puts on good fragrance. Messa min tibin, puts on good fragrance. And then comes to the Jumu'ah. And he doesn't separate between two people sitting down. And, he listens to the khutbah. Then his Jumu'ah will be a kafara, will be an expiation for the sins that he committed from that Jumu'ah to the previous Jumu'ah. That's the Islamic context. He said he wears the best of his clothing. And another hadith that was collected by Imam al-Bayhaqi بإسناد صحيح إلى عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله تعالى عنهما أنه صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يلبس أحسن ثيابه في عيدين. That Ibn Umar رضي الله تعالى عنه, and there was no one who used to mimic, no one who used to follow in the footsteps of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم more than Abdullah bin Umar. But Abdullah bin Umar said that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم used to wear the best of his clothing on the two Eids. The best of his clothing, meaning on the Eid, he did not look on the Eid like he looked on normal days. He wore the best of what he had. And I'm going to give you some more context, because there was a sister who made a comment about my son having a red blazer on, talking about red is haram for men. Where did you find that? Here again, Abu Sanabil, speaking about the religion when you have absolutely no knowledge. You don't even know what you're talking about. Red is haram for men? Where'd you read that at? The Prophet ﷺ used to have a red cloak that he used to wear on the Eid. Authentic narration. A red cloak. You understand? How in the hell are you commenting, he got on a red jacket, red is haram anyway for men. Like, where did you get that from? The Prophet ﷺ wore a red cloak for the two Eids and on Jumu'ah. Where'd you get that from? Here again, Abu Sanabil talking with not knowing. The Prophet ﷺ, he used to wear on the two Eids, he wore a red cloak. Burdatuhu al-ahma al-humra, the red burda, the red cloak that he wore on Jumu'ah and on the two Eids. And you got a sister commenting on my son's picture. Oh, he got on a red jacket. Red is haram for Muslim men anyway. Where in the hell did you get that from? I don't even understand. First of all, you had a person who took a screenshot of me and my son's picture that I posted on my page. Here again, go to my page, right? I'm such a deviant, but yet you still go to my page conveniently to find out the latest and the greatest. I get it, right? Criticism sometimes is one of the greatest forms of flattery. I get it. But you took a screenshot of me and my son, and you went and you posted on your Facebook page, this little dusty joker from Wilmington, right? You took a screenshot of my son and me, and you posted it on your page, and you got your 15 minutes of fame and everybody commenting on it. Nobody had the decency to say, this is a kid. I'm not going to sit here and comment under this man's picture. And they're talking about his son. They're talking about his kid, a 17-year-old kid. Are you serious? Are you serious? I mean, I can handle it. Talk about me. I can handle that. I can handle that. This little dusty joker from Wilmington. I can handle, talk about me. I can handle that. But you commenting on a 17-year-old kid? Are you serious? It's cool. Because that stuff come back to you. I don't sweat that stuff. That stuff come back to you. I've lived long enough. I lived long enough to know that you do dirt, you get dirt. That stuff come back to you, man. So, Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, يَسَنُّ لِلرَّجُلِ فِي الْعِيدِ أَنْ يَتَجَمَّلْ وَيَلْبَسْ أَحْسَنْ ثِيَابِهِ. Sheikh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that it is the sunnah for men on the Eid to beautify themselves. To beautify, يَتَجَمَّلْ, to beautify themselves, وَيَلْبَسْ أَحْسَنْ ثِيَابِهِ, and to wear the best of their clothing. That is the sunnah. So when you say, oh, I had a dude come to my come to my Instagram page, and, they throw shots. It's like throw a rock and run, right? You throw a shot, right? You come to my page and you say, oh, this is a celebration. This is not a fashion show. Humble yourself. First of all, what does humbling myself have to do with anything? Second of all, aren't we supposed to dress up for celebratory occasions? Like, your whole comment was, contradictory. Just because you wanted to say something. Just because you wanted to say something. Your whole comment was contradictory. You said that he's basically turning the Eid into a fashion show. The Eid is a celebration, brother, not a fashion show. Humble yourself. What does humbling myself have to do with that? What does one have to do with the other? I get it. I can be a little cocky every now. I'm still a man. Don't take that away from me. I'm Shadid Muhammad, but I'm still a man. I'm a little cocky. I can be a little cocky sometime, but you got to understand that, I live in a world full of cocky men. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to lay myself down and let another man walk over top of me. Absolutely. I have some dignity about myself. You kidding me? Nah, I'm not going to put my head down and humble myself and let everybody else around me walk around with their chest puffed out. Nah, I ain't built like that, man. I ain't from that. You know what I mean? But anyway, in addition, how do we change the way that non-Muslims see Islam? How do we change the way that non-Muslims see Islam if we don't display fun in our religion? How? How do we change the narrative? How do we change the narrative? I just gave you Islamic context for looking nice, and that the Prophet ﷺ wore his best on the two Eids. You understand? These are only two celebrations religiously in our religion. Why not turn the Eid into a fashion show? Why not turn the Eid into something that should not look like a regular day? It's not my fault that you didn't have, enough money to buy something nice and come out on the Eid and look your best. That's not my fault. Don't fault me for that. Don't come at me because, of your here again, my success equaling your failure. You are not a failure because you perceive me to be a success. That's not what that means. I had a dude come on my Instagram, like, your drip trash, yo. It's like, my drip is trash. Like, who says that to another man? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, first of all, I'm old enough to be your father. And then you're on my page talking about your drip trash, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, rather than complimenting and just saying, yo, you know what I mean? Like, it looks nice. It's not something that I would wear, but, kudos to you, respect to you. You know what I'm saying? I see people with stuff on, like, I wouldn't wear a white thobe on the Eid. White thobe is, no disrespect to those who wear white thobes, but it's a white thobe. You know what I mean? It's a white thobe. You know what I mean? Like, everybody got one. Opinions are like white thobes. Everybody got one. You know what I mean? With all due respect to the brothers who wear white thobes. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not my twist. I'm off that. You know what I mean? I did the thobe and the blazer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did that for years. Like, I've matured in certain regards. So, you know what I'm saying? Some people are still at that space and, with all due respect to them, but I'm not there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not showing up on the E with a white thobe on, pressed and freshly pressed. I did that. You know what I mean? Like, respect my journey. Respect where I'm at. But you come on my page talking about, your drip trash. Like, you know what I mean? Like, your drip is trash. Like you had on a pair of skinny jeans. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had on a typical Philly outfit. You know what I mean? Skinny jeans with a tight white tee. I mean, like, your drip is trash. Like, I don't understand. Like, I dress like a grown man. I dress like an adult, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't put me in your category. Don't put me in your I'm not a young boy. All right? I'm not walking around with my jeans sagging, with my underwears hanging out, with a tight white tee on. And that's drip for you. I'm sorry, that's not, you know what I mean? And I don't need to wear Gucci or Louis. That doesn't impress me. That's an individual who the clothes make him. My clothes don't make me. I make my clothes. You understand? My clothes don't define me. When I put my clothes on, I define my clothes. I can buy from wherever. You know what I'm saying? I can buy from Payless. I can buy from Forever 21. You know what I mean? Wherever. If I put it on, it's going to look nice. You understand? I don't care where I shop at. The clothes don't make me. I make the clothes. So if that's your definition of drip, like fly drip, then, to each his own. But I'm not in that category. I'm not in that category. And why is it as black men we find it so difficult to compliment people? Even if it's not something that I would wear. I seen brothers with stuff on that I wouldn't wear. You know what I'm saying? Like, with all due respect, you fly. I don't have a problem with complimenting you. But I'm never going to say to somebody, your drip is trash. You're trash. Like, you know what I mean? That's some young boy stuff. Like, we're an adult. Let's, stay in your lane. Go back with the young boys and use that language with them. As men, we compliment one another. Black men, we have to learn how to become comfortable complimenting people. Complimenting one another, even if it's not something that I would wear. I'm very particular about what I wear, and I see people with stuff on. I'm just like, to each his own. Hassan, my man Hassan called me, that Clay couple. Shout out to Hassan and Naila. Hassan called me and was like, yo, I'm going to get me some gators, some snake skins. I'm just like, well, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not there. You know what I mean? That's some old head stuff. You know what I mean? But at the same token, that's on you. And that's good for you. And I'm proud of you. And you look good. You look nice. You know what I mean? But I ain't going to never down somebody because they wore something that I don't necessarily agree with. But you can tell that it comes from a place. And it's all good, man. It's all good. I'm just pointing out while we sitting around talking about what the women need to be doing, I'm pointing out the stuff that we do. I'm pointing the stuff out that we do as men that we need to correct. Why is it so difficult as an African-American Muslim for me to see another black man dressed on the Eid and give him a compliment? Yo, you look nice. Even if it was not something that I would wear particularly. I don't have to wear it for it to look nice. It looks nice on you. You understand? It looks nice on you. And that's all that matters. But here we are, man. So, how do we change, the way that non-Muslims see Islam, if we don't display fun in our religion? Even within the confines of our religion, within the binary of halal and haram, like, why can't we have fun with our religion? Why does the religion always have to be so rigid, so distasteful? Why? Anything that we try to do that is going to bring some happiness and joy and some fun to the Muslim community, you always want to have a group of men who sit back and look at how can we bring us back to the Stone Ages? How can we bring us back to 1444 years ago wearing sandals, walking in the sand with camels? That's not our culture. We start from where we are right now. Stop trying to take us backwards. That doesn't make you any more religious. The Prophet ﷺ walked into a masjid one day and he saw the Ethiopians, the Africans, sword fighting. And he was with Abu Bakr and Umar. And Umar went and Abu Bakr went to go stop them from wrestling in the masjid, from play fighting in the masjid. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Da'ahum liya'lam al-yahuda wal-nasara inna fi dinina fusha. The Prophet ﷺ said, let them play. Don't stop them. Let them play. He said, so the Jews and Christians know that in our religion we have fun. We have leisure time in our religion. Right? We have leisure time in our religion. We have fun in our religion. Don't stop them from fighting in the masjid. Don't stop them. Let them fight. Let them play in the masjid. Showing you the mentality, like, how do we change the way that people see Islam if everything is so rigid? And some people will continue to counter what I do, even if it means going against the religion to do so. So blinded by their rage and their envy and jealousy that they don't even realize that their every move to counter me and what I do and what I say is, countering clear principles from our religion. I'm not telling you to do something that's new or innovative in the religion. I'm not innovating anything in the religion. I'm just reviving something that we've forgotten about. That's it. I'm not adding anything new to the religion. Oh, he's turning the Eid into a fashion show. The Eid is supposed to be a fashion show, genius. You're supposed to wear your work clothes to the Eid? You're supposed to look on the Eid like you look every other day? Or are you supposed to go out, buy some new drip, come to the Eid looking nice? Then some of us went as far as, this guy who took a screenshot of, me and my son with the caption that have a reference to being gay. Right? This dude, he took a picture of me and my son and he posted it on his Facebook page. Right? All these comments, and I believe the post is still there. I read through all of the comments. I didn't comment. It's not my thing. I'm not going to get into an internet debate. One thing you need to know about me is that I'm not going to engage you in an internet debate. 9 times out of 10, you're ignorant and you do not deserve my time. So I'm not, alhamdulillah for the block button. I'll just block you. And you can run and tell whatever narrative you want to tell. You can run and say to your constituents, yeah, I had to check Shadeed Muhammad. And if that's your little 5 minutes of fame, that's how you're going to get famous, because you had to check Shadeed Muhammad, or you sent a post and I blocked you, or you take a screenshot that I blocked you, and that's how you're going to go get famous? You're going to go get famous by showing somebody that I blocked you? No, I blocked you because you're toxic. Not because I was afraid to engage you. You understand? I blocked you because you're toxic. And I'm not going to, I'm not going to engage you. For what? 9 times out of 10, you ignorant. Because if you really had knowledge, you wouldn't come and, try to, you wouldn't throw rocks, throw darts and keep running. Like, nobody does that. If you got knowledge, you stand in your place and you engage the person in an intellectual debate. And, I'm not going to do that. So if I blocked you, it's not because I didn't want to engage you. It's because you're toxic. Or you came on my page and you had something to prove. You're trying to prove a point. I had a guy anonymously. And that's another thing, man. If you send me a message, man, don't be anonymous, man. Don't create anonymous pages where people don't know who you are. You can see who I am. Every post that goes under Shadeed Muhammad on Instagram, I posted it. You can see clearly I function from a place of transparency. Don't come to my page with some weird name as your tag and you're trying to give me some advice. No, create a page, put your name up there, and then engage me so I know who the hell I'm talking to. You understand? Engage me from a place of transparency as I engage you from a place of transparency. I don't know who you are. I don't know who the heck I'm talking to. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to engage you. Do not. Like, if you want to engage me, create a page, put your real name under there, right? And let the person know that that's who you are. But don't sit here and engage me from a place of anonymity, you know what I mean? And I'm supposed to just engage you back and forth, and I don't even know who the hell I'm talking to. You could be a police informant for all I know. I don't know who the hell you are. So this guy takes a picture, right, of my son and I, and posted it on his Instagram page, right? Posted on his Facebook page. And then it got all these comments, and, he made a reference to my son being gay, right? Cool. So let me just say this. Let me say this. For pretty much that individual and all of the people who commented under that page, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْذُونَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ بِغَيْرِ مَا اكْتَسَبُوا فَقَدِ احْتَمَلُوا بُهْتَانًا وَإِثْمًا مُبِينًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah number 33, ayah 58, and those who harm believing men and believing women without any due right, بِغَيْرِ مَا اكْتَسَبُوا, without due right, فَقَدِ احْتَمَلُوا بُهْتَانًا وَإِثْمًا مُبِينًا. They have brought upon themselves slander and manifest sin. So that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. That's what God says. All right? And Mujahid, one of the scholars of tafsir, he said, كيف إذا أوذي بالمعروف فذلك يضاعف له بالعذاب. Mujahid, he said, and how much more sinful would it be? How much more sinful would it be if you are enjoining good upon the individual and they harm you? He said the punishment is mudha'af. It is exacerbated. The punishment is multiplied. I wasn't trying to do anything except, give you guys a small window into my world. I usually don't post pictures of my children for this exact reason. All right. But my son is, 17. He has his own page or whatever the case may be. So I'm a little more comfortable with him. Right. But for my younger ones, I usually don't post pictures of my children. Why? Because that's my personal life. And that's a privilege. If I give you guys a window into my personal life, that's a privilege that I'm sharing with you. Because you don't deserve that. My personal life is for the people that I love and love me. My close ones, my relatives, my family members. That is where I function as it relates to my personal life. So if I share a picture or two of my daughter or myself or my son, I'm giving you a small window into my personal life, which is a privilege. That's a privilege because I don't have to do that. I don't have to do that. And to have someone take advantage of that, right? To have someone take advantage of that and take a screenshot and then go to Facebook and create a post and begin slandering, my son, right? You have incurred upon yourself slander and a grave manifest sin. And the sin is mudha'af. It's actually multiplied because we were trying to just encourage good. How many black men do you see posting pictures with their sons? Many of your sons, many of the Muslim children, many Muslim sons, 17, 18 years old are nowhere to be found, have no connection to Islam. And to have, an imam, to have a public figure in the Muslim community who is an African American, who is actively involved in the life of his son, and to see that his son, throughout the many years, many of you have known me for years, and remember, my son when he was born. And to see him get to the place of 17 years old, about to be 18 years old, and to see him, grow and still around, still identify with Islam, still pray 5 times a day. You understand? And then to take an opportunity to take a shot at this guy and his family, that's real ugly, man. That's real ugly. And so we sit from a place of privilege, right? We sit from a place of privilege and we dish out callous comments about other people's children with no concern for the divine repercussions in this life and in the next life. We don't realize the gravity of what we are doing. You don't realize the gravity of what you are doing, right? You don't realize the gravity of what you are inviting upon yourself and your family. All you got to do is ask how many Muslim parents out here right now, all you Muslim parents right now, who your children are astray. Shadeed Muhammad might be astray, but your children are astray. Your children smoke weed. Your children are sitting in jail. Your children are on their way to court, on their way to jail. Your children got court dates. Your children are involved with gangs. Your children are, you know what I mean? Like, ask these parents right now, who this is the trial of their children right now. How many of those same parents who lost their children to this dunya, that much of that is as a result of their criticisms of other people's children at some point in some time in their lives? Some of them might be deluded into thinking, well, that's my son, that's his route or her route or whatever the case. No. Understand divine repercussions. Understand how divine repercussions work. You talk about somebody else's children. You down talk somebody else's children. You condescendingly comment about other people's children. That stuff comes back to you through your children. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Man qala li akhihi ya kafir, faqad ba'a biha ahaduhuma wa illa faraja'a ilayhi." The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever says to his brother, "O kafir," "O you non-Muslim," you call your Muslim brother a non-Muslim, call him a kafir, call him a disbeliever. The Prophet ﷺ said that statement goes up. He said, and it comes back down, and if the person is deserving of it, then he's deserving of it, and if not, you are more deserving of it. Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah ta'ala, provided some context to this. Listen to what Ibn al-Qayyim said. For all of you parents out there who are in the habit of commenting on other people's children. Let me warn you what happens when you talk about other people's children. Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, "Man aaba akhahu bi dhanbin lam yamut hatta yaf'alu. فَإِيَّاكَ وَالشَّمَاتَ بِأَخِيكَ فَيُعَافِيَهُ اللَّهُ وَيَبْتَلِيكَ." Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that whoever finds fault with his brother for a mistake that he made, that he will not die until he makes the same exact mistake. Understand? He said, so I caution you against showing happiness at the downfall of your brother, for at least Allah will have mercy upon him and test you with what he tested him with. So many parents have been guilty of criticizing the children of other parents only to have the consequences of their statements and behaviors manifest in their very own children. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-adl. Allah is just and fair. Understand how that works. Allah is just and fair. Many parents have been guilty of criticizing other people's children only to have the consequences of their statements and their actions manifest in their very own children. Allah says in the Quran, وَاتَّقُوا فِتْنَةً لَا تُصِيبَنَّ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنْكُمْ خَاصَّةً وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ شَدِيدُ الْعِقَابِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah number 9, ayah 25, and fear a fitna. Listen to this ayah closely. For all you parents. And the brother who did that to my page, who took a screenshot of me and my son and posted it on Facebook, he has children as well. Yeah, I did my research. I'm, not just me, but his mom, my son's mom, my wife. Women are the best investigators. You have children too. So I want you to pay attention to this. And anybody else who this has been done to, anybody else who has done this to other people, Let me tell you how dangerous this is, right? Allah says in the Quran, وَاتَّقُوا فِتْنَةً, fear of fitna. Fear of fitna that will not only affect the wrongdoers from amongst you. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ شَدِيدُ الْإِقَابِ, and know that Allah is severe in punishment. So fear of fitna that won't just affect those from amongst you who did wrong. So for you as a parent, it's not just going to affect you. That fitna might affect you, but might affect your children too. Many of Quraysh, here's another point that you need to think about. Many of Quraysh mocked the Prophet ﷺ. Many of Quraysh mocked the Prophet ﷺ, disrespected the Prophet ﷺ, physically harmed the Prophet ﷺ. But most importantly, many of Quraysh, right? They mocked the Prophet ﷺ. They made fun of him. They called him a liar. They called him a soothsayer. They called him a magician. They called him all types of names and mocked him, right? And many of the same people that mocked him, many of their children converted to Islam. Think about that. The same thing that you mock comes back to you. So while they were mocking the Prophet ﷺ and making fun of him, istihza, sukhriya, they were mocking him and making fun of him and calling him names, many of their children, their worst nightmare, many of their children converted to Islam and became followers of the same man that they mocked. Think about that. Right? Walid ibn Mughira, one of the chiefs of Quraysh, his son Khalid ibn Walid converted to Islam. Abu Sufyan, his daughter and his son Muawiyah, as well as Habiba, converted to Islam. Abu Jahl, right? The Fir'aun of our ummah, Abu Jahl, his son Ikrimah converted to Islam. All of these same people who mocked the Prophet ﷺ and found fault with the Prophet ﷺ, called him all types of names, called him out of his name, the punishment for them, the consequences of their actions, is that many of their children converted to Islam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let me give you some context for that as well. Surah number 16, ayah 34. Memorize this ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَأَصَابَهُمْ سَيِّئَاتُ مَا عَمِلُوا وَحَاقَ بِهِمْ مَا كَانُوا بِهِ يَسْتَهْزِئُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, فَأَصَابَهُمْ سَيِّئَاتُ مَا عَمِلُوا, and they were afflicted with the evil consequences of their actions. فَحَاقَ بِهِمْ مَا كَانُوا بِهِ يَسْتَهْزِئُونَ, and they were surrounded by or engulfed with the same thing that they used to mock. The same thing that they used to mock, the same thing they used to make fun of, the same thing that they used to find fault with, it surrounded them. You understand? You see how that works? It's so profound. Allah says, فَأَصَابَهُمْ سَيِّئَاتُ مَا عَمِلُوا, and they were afflicted by the evil consequences of their actions. فَحَاقَ بِهِمْ مَا كَانُوا بِهِ يَسْتَهْزِئُونَ, and they were enveloped, they were engulfed by the same thing that they used to ridicule. The same thing that they used to find so funny. Shadeed Muhammad is astray, and then your children are listening to Shadeed Muhammad lectures. As a consequence of your actions. And so while you mocked at my son and made a reference to him being gay, while you did that, we might be making preparations for his marriage while your son, your daughter, is in a strip club. Allah forbid. But this is the consequence of your actions, right? While we're making preparations for him to get married, right? You are going to visit your son in jail. Or going to pray his janazah. You understand? While we sit on the internet from a place of privilege and we comment on this person's kid, this person's child, this person's kid. I know a brother, Wallah al-Azim, Salafi, to the bone. He used to sit in the masjid and talk about everybody's kids. Oh man, his kids, man, they astray. They ain't practicing no Islam. They ain't on the Sunnah, blah, 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 blah. And this particular brother had 5 kids. None of them are practicing Muslims. May Allah guide them to Islam. May Allah guide them to Islam. None of your children are practicing Muslims. None of them. So while you sit back from a place of privilege and talk about who's on it, who's off it, who's astray, who's gay, who's this, who's that, look at your kids. Look at your children. And even if your children are small now, right, that consequence may be waiting for you later on. I suggest that if any one of you has been guilty of this, that you make tawbah, sincere tawbah. And that you pray for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect your children. You don't know how many tears I've shed over the years. I have 9 sons, you understand? Including my 3 bonus kids, right? 9 boys that I am responsible for. 3 bonus kids that I am responsible for. You don't think that the thought of one of them not practicing Islam, one of them leaving Islam, which one of them is going to be my disappointment? You don't think that thought runs through my head every single day? Prophet Nuh alayhi salam lost his son. Prophet Lut lost his wife. I mean, who are we? Asiyah was tested with her husband. Who are we not to think that we're not going to be tested with one of our children? And to have your children reach a point in their lives where they're still identifying with Islam, still love Islam, still pray, you understand, still fast the month of Ramadan. That is a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then we sit back from a place of privilege and criticize somebody's kid. That joint is dangerous, man. If you have ever in your life been guilty of that, I suggest you make tawbah today. Because perhaps the consequences of your actions may manifest itself in your own children. In addition to the brother who did that, my son has a mother, one of the most powerful creatures on this earth. There's no one on this earth that is more powerful than a woman for a number of reasons. But a mother, and more specific, there is none that is more powerful than a mother. Evidenced by the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes the right of the mother the second most important right in Islam to his. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ وَفِصَالُهُ فِي عَامَيْنِ أَنِ اشْكُرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيْكَ وَإِلَيَّ الْمَصِيرُ. Allah says that we have enjoined on man to be dutiful to his parents. Notice how Allah mentioned the 2 parents in the ayah, and then he goes off and talks about the mother. He said, we have enjoined on man to be dutiful to his parents. His mother carried him in difficulty on top of difficulty. And his breastfeeding period was a period of 2 years. Be grateful to me and to your 2 parents. And the Prophet ﷺ, when he was asked, who has the most right over me? He said, your mother, your mother, your mother. There's no one in the Islamic tradition. There is no one that is more powerful in terms of her relationship, in terms of their relationship with Allah than a mother. No one more powerful. The Prophet ﷺ said the dua of the mother for the child is always answered. The dua of the mother for the child is always answered. The Prophet ﷺ told one of his companions, "Ilzam rijla ummak fatham al-jannah." Stick to the feet of your mother, because there you will find Jannah. There you will find paradise. You understand? There is none that is more powerful than a Muslim mother, than a mother. To the point that even her child that dies in the womb, the premature child that dies in the womb will drag its mother into Jannah through the umbilical cord. You understand? No one more powerful than a Muslim woman. My wife, my son's mother, right, was distraught when she read the comments and everybody commenting about my son, right? And so she went and she wrote an article, and she was like, she wanted to post it. I said, nah, don't post it. I said, don't post it. I said, because the people who did that, they're not going to be receptive to it anyway. And it's just going to be a back and forth argument. I said, the most powerful thing that you can do, that you have at your beck right now, is dua. Go make dua against him. Make dua against him. Use that to your advantage. You are a mother. The dua of the mother for the child is always answered. And you are oppressed. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds to the dua of the oppressed person. You have two. Leverage that. Leverage it. Go make dua against them. Go make wudu. Go into sujood and supplicate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against that individual. You don't have to say, may Allah not give him Jannah or whatever, but make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala test him with the same thing he accused your child with. Make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him for what he deserves. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Arini adilak. Show me your justice by how you deal with him. Absolutely. You ain't got to make dua that Allah curse him. That's haram. We're not making dua against, another Muslim in that manner. But make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala test him with the same thing he tested you with. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show you his justice and his fairness by how he deals with this individual. How he handles him in the way that he dealt with your child. Absolutely. Yeah. There's perks being married to someone who has knowledge of the religion. For all you sisters out there that's married to students of knowledge and know absolutely nothing. There are some perks being married to someone who, has a little bit of information about the religion. Go make dua. Use that to your advantage. Absolutely. And that's what I told her to do. So rather than post it, a long post, which is going to go over most people's heads anyway, I'm going to go make wudu. I'm going to go consult with my Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. You insulted my son. You went and created an entire post about my son and references to him being a homosexual? Nah. You don't get to live with that. Beware of the dua. The Prophet ﷺ said, Iyaka wa da'wat al-madloom wa in kana kafira falaysa baynaha wa bayna Allahi hijab. Be aware of the dua of the oppressed person. Because there's nothing that comes in between the dua of the oppressed person and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's response. Go make dua against him. And that's what I told you. For those of you who are on Facebook Live, my phone is dying. You can go to Periscope for the remainder part of it. I'm just about done, inshallah ta'ala. I just have one more point that I need to make about this. I have one more point that I need to make. Right? So understand how important, and all those who participated in the post. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, those who participated in the post are not, I don't hold them to the same standard I do to the individual who created the post. They were just, in their ignorance, just chiming in, believing that you got to comment on everything. Let me just say this, FYI, every time you come across something on the internet, you don't have to comment. You don't have to comment on everything that you see on the internet. Because understand, what you type is equivalent to what you say out of your mouth. And you are accountable for it. You are accountable for it. Allow your words to be calculated. Every single letter that comes out of your mouth should be calculated. We Muslims are at the pinnacle of God consciousness. We always talking about taqwa, fear Allah, fear Allah, fear Allah. Let fear Allah manifest in the way that you self-discipline. The way that you discipline yourself. Your words that come out of your mouth, the way that you interact with the world around you, all of that is a manifestation of your taqwa. So my last point is that the sister said, he has on a red jacket. And what we do is it's almost like we justify. So we see the guy, he posted a picture of me and my son. He has on a red blazer, right, with some gold stuff in it. A little loud, but he's 17. I'm not going to stop him. That's his, creative ingenuity. I'm not going to stop that. I've always encouraged my children to be creative and to stand in their own space. That's what we teach them. Stand in your own space. And if that's what you choose to buy, although I wouldn't buy it for myself, it is cool. It's cool. It's yours. You own it. You know what I mean? You bought it, you own it. But the sister was like, it's haram to wear red and, all this other stuff. And there's hadith and authentic narrations where the Prophet ﷺ wore red on the Eid, on both Eids. as well as on Jumu'ah. Right? Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, he said, كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يلبس يوم العيد بردة حمراء. Ibn Abbas said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to wear a red cloak on Jumu'ah, on Eid. And another hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, on the authority of Abu Ja'far, who said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يلبس برده الأحمر في العيدين والجمعة. That the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to wear a red cloak on both Eids as well as Jumu'ah. So where is the haram for men to wear red? Please, know what you're talking about. Know what you're talking about. You just jump on somebody's post and start commenting. I don't really care what Saudis wear. Saudis are not a standard. I don't care what Saudis wear. They're not a standard. And the prohibition that the Prophet gave for saffron, yellow, and things like that, you have to look at that in its cultural context. Culturally, at this point, at this day and time, is there anything culturally that is, unacceptable for men to wear? Some of us still hold certain standards. I wouldn't wear pink, I wouldn't wear pink shirt or, anything pink, period. But I'm from a different generation. And we're carrying Islam without any hikmah, without any wisdom. And you're commenting on stuff that you have absolutely no understanding of. And that's the thing that is puzzling. That is the thing that bothers me the most. Facebook, I'm going to have to cut you guys off. So, let me end this really quick. All right. The thing is that, and I put in my post, dinner with cannibals. Why do we eat our young? All right. I was reading an article yesterday, and this is what made me post that. There are certain animals like mother bears, felines, male lions, and other animals, insects, fish, amphibians, and birds who actually eat their young. There are actually animals that eat their young. Mother bear, sometimes they eat their young. Male lions, when a male lion defeats another male lion, and the female, the lioness that defeated male lion was with, and they have cubs, sometimes the male lion will eat those cubs. All right, and then mate with the female because he's not going to look after anybody else's kids. It's a real crazy dynamic. I was mind blown when I read that, but it just made me. And some scholars in the whole animal world, and they say that many instances is pathological. Right, it's just habitual. It's something that they do. And in some instances, if the child is born unhealthy or deformed, or the mother is not able to find enough food, then it will eat its young. These are some of the situations in which they have observed where animals will eat their young. So it's like we do the same thing in the Islamic community. We eat our young, right? We do it under the guise of enjoining what is good and forbidding what is evil, right? Somebody sent me a link of, brother from New York, and he was, Brother Ali from New York is giving some admonishment to the sisters about, the hijab and those particular things, right? So we do it under the guise of enjoining what is good and forbidding what is evil, and not really understanding that enjoining what is good and forbidding what's evil, there's a whole science behind that. Scholars have created a whole entire science behind that. That's not just any Muhammad or Abdullah who feel like I see something wrong and I'm going to go fix it. Or I'm going to go say something about it. There's a whole entire science behind that. Trying to make sure that the good that you are trying to enjoin is actually good. And the evil that you are trying to forbid does not create a greater evil, right? There's a whole science behind that. It's not just, let me jump up because I see something wrong and I'm going to change it with my hands or I'm going to change it with my mouth. You know what I mean? It's not for those who are mutahammisun, those who are just driven by emotions, those who are driven by desire. There's a whole science that is, supplied with wisdom, saturated with wisdom, with hikmah, and how we approach situations. So we can't approach changing our community, whether it's the way the sisters dress, the way that this is approached, the way that is approached. I personally don't understand why we spend so much time on the way that women dress when our communities are in shambles. Look at the leadership. Is it not the case that much of the dysfunction in our communities is a direct reflection of the dysfunction in our leadership? Isn't that the way that it goes? So why do we skip over addressing the leadership issues in our communities and go straight to the symptoms of the root problem? The root problem is the lack of leadership in the community. That is the root problem. The problem is not sisters dressing like this and brothers not come, one comment I heard he made, he was like, sisters come to, dress fully and then their daughters are uncovered. It's like, but that's a manifestation. That is a manifestation. Why are we attacking the symptoms and jumping right over the root problem? The root problem is a lack of leadership. The root problem is not that sisters are going crazy with these, if a sister shows up at Jumu'ah or at the Eid and she's fully covered and her daughter is not covered, I wouldn't jump to say there's a lack of parenting there, because you don't know that person's why. The children might be coming back to, you understand what I'm saying? I think that was very dismissive. It was very disrespectful, very dismissive to say that some of you sisters are covered and then your daughters are just no hijab, no nothing. It's dismissive because maybe their children are coming back to Islam. If a parent shows up on Jumu'ah or on the Eid and their children are uncovered, say alhamdulillah that the children are there. Not why your daughter not covered, why she not wearing hijab. Why your daughter don't wear hijab? Because a lot of the brothers that are out here admonishing sisters for not wearing hijab, admonishing sisters for not wearing this, your daughter don't wear hijab. Your wife don't wear hijab. What the hell are you talking about? How you feel so comfortable grabbing a microphone, admonishing the sisters about the way that they dress, and look at the way your wife dress. Look at the way your daughters dress. Some brothers, their daughters don't even cover. Your daughter don't even acknowledge Islam. Yet you have the audacity to, criticize a mother who shows up on the Eid and their daughter is uncovered. You don't know what her why is, what her story is. I don't like the broad brush stuff because I know that I deal with families, Muslim families, on a regular basis. No, it's not that hijab is a choice. Hijab is not a choice. Hijab is an obligation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rabbul Alameen. Now, we're not running with the hijab as a choice. Hijab is not a choice. Hijab is an obligation. You have a choice to obey Allah or disobey Allah. That's what it is. Hijab is not a choice. To obey Allah or disobey Allah is a choice. Hijab is not a choice. Hijab is an obligation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rabbul Alameen. وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ ذَلِكَ أَزْكَىٰ لَكُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and say to the believing women that they should lower their gaze and they should guard their privacy, guard their chastity. وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا. And they should not display their zina, their beauty, to the outside world except what normally shows her face and her hands. That is a commandment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Stop saying hijab is a choice. Hijab is not a choice. Hijab is an obligation. To obey Allah or to disobey Allah is a choice. You have a choice. To believe in Allah or not believe in Allah is a choice. قُلْ آمِنُوا بِهِ أَوْ لَا يُؤْمِنُوا. Say believe in Allah or do not believe in Allah. That's totally up to you. To believe in God or disbelieve in God is a choice. To obey God or disobey God is a choice. The hijab is not a choice. Stop with that language. Please, with all due respect. That's not going to fly here. The hijab is not a choice. To obey Allah. The hijab stands as it is. It's wajib. It is an obligation. Now, whether you choose to adhere to that obligation or not, that is a choice. But the hijab is not a choice. No, I'm not speaking directly to you. You made the comment, but there are a lot of people who think like that. There are a lot of people who hold that mentality, and we need to bring clarity to that. Hijab is not a choice. That's an obligation. Salat is not a choice. There's no difference between the salat and the hijab. No difference. And there's some people who don't cover, and there's some people who don't pray. The salat is an obligation. Wearing the hijab is an obligation. To adhere to that, that is a choice. That is a choice. All right. So, but my point is that you have, public figures jumping out there admonishing Muslim women about their hijab, and I even heard some talk of monitoring how women come into a masjid or whatever the case may be. Meanwhile, your leadership is dysfunctional from top to bottom, and nobody says a damn thing about that. Nobody says anything about your leadership abilities or inabilities, the dysfunction of the Islamic community. Nobody says anything about that. But we're quick to grab a microphone, grab a camera, and do a live presentation on how sisters are supposed to be dressed. How about we do a live presentation and talk about the dysfunction in your community? To talk about the inability to lead in the community. Because all your idea of, women not covering, and I'm not saying that there aren't women that are uncovered properly. But number one, they are on a personal journey. It's not my job to say who should be covered like what. That's not our place. That wearing the hijab is an obligation, and some women are quick to adhere to that obligation, and some women walk a slow pace to get to that obligation, and some women are just never going to make it there at all. It's not our job. It's not our job. I personally have never read a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ got up and admonished the women about how they dress. I've never read a hadith. You can point me in the right direction. I've never heard the Prophet ﷺ give a khutbah to the women on how they dress. And not all of the sahabiyat adhered to the hijab exactly the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed it. Evidenced by the statement of Aisha in Sahih al-Bukhari. She said that if the Prophet ﷺ could see what the women have done with the hijab, he would have prevented them from coming to the masjid. This was right after the Prophet ﷺ was dead. That women started to become very lax with the hijab and, the Islamic, standards of the hijab. I mean, that's a process. That's something that women go through. But to put all of our energy in admonishing the sisters, admonishing the women, and not admonishing the governance and the leadership under which those women are, being governed and being led, I think it's just counterproductive. That's just my opinion. I think we're putting the cart before the horse. But I don't see where, where the Prophet ﷺ gave khutbahs to the women, admonishing them about their dress. I don't. And the women who adhered to the hijab was not as a result necessarily of their fear of Allah, but as a result of the good leadership under which they were governed. So I think that, we can't approach change in our communities, solely on the desire for change. To change what we perceive that is wrong. All right. Changing it with our hands comes before speaking about it. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that if you see a wrong, then change it with your hands. And if you can't change it with your hands, then say something about it. So changing it with our hands comes first. But we say to ourselves, well, I can't change it with my hands, so the only thing I can do is speak about it. No, we can change it with our hands. We can change it with our hands by, it requires a strategic approach collectively by creating, a system of community involvement, right? A community involvement, striving, starting with, earning the respect of the community, the trust of the community, by way of good governance and leadership, whereby people, sisters, feel inclined to respond out of mutual cooperation and respect in the spirit of community. But many of the women, they don't respect the leadership, if we could even call it that. I think it's just Muslim women in the Islamic community as it relates to the hijab functions the same way with a Muslim woman when she marries a man who she respects. They just automatically get in line. They will automatically find their place. Automatically. Wherever that place is. When a woman is married to a man and he comes into her life and, he's doing his part as a man, she naturally gets into her place. Whatever that place is. I'm not here to define what that place is. But whatever that place is. She allows him to lead. Women will find their place. You understand? And the same thing works when a woman comes into a Muslim community and the leadership is intact. The Muslim women in that community will automatically fall in place. They will automatically fall in place. You won't have to address the hijab because you start from the top and the bottom will work itself out by itself. That's just leadership. I just think that many of us who put ourselves in leadership positions, we need to read a book or two on leadership. It's not about grabbing a microphone, jumping out there and admonishing the sisters. What is that going to do except chase people away? That doesn't make anybody adhere to what you're saying, especially if they don't respect you, especially if they don't have any trust in your leadership abilities. You are wasting your time. You are blowing hot smoke. Nobody's listening to you. You're making yourself look foolish. But if you create a system in the community where women feel involved, women feel included, the leadership, the governance that is put in place, people respect it, people trust it, the women will automatically find their place. The hijab situation will automatically fix itself. But we're here addressing the symptoms and not addressing the root problem. And that is the problem. Here again, addressing the symptoms, not addressing the problem. The problem is not sisters are going crazy with this hijab. Show me a community where the imam is well respected, where the board of administration is working for the community. The leadership, the governance is something that everyone in the community respects and trusts. And I'll show you a community of women who adhere to the hijab. I'll show you. It has been done. It's being done. I'll show you. And show me a community where the imam is almost never there, where the imam's khutbahs and, lectures are irrelevant to what's happening in the local community, when the imam is completely detached from what's going on. The board of administration is not, for the people. They're not there for the community. They're there for themselves, right? Show me a community where that is their leadership and their governance, and I'll show you dysfunction. I'll show you dysfunction. It's clear. And I'm not talking about any community in particular. I'm just saying communities, period. They exist. The board of administration is there for themselves, not there for the community. The imam, completely detached from the community. It's a job. It becomes routine. Show up at Dhuhr time, leave the salat, spend all day in your office, counseling, doing, random things, and then come down for Maghrib, give your class, pull out a book, read, and that becomes the extent. It's routine. No one respects that. No one adheres to that. No one follows that. So yeah, you're going to constantly spend your entire time just addressing the trivial matters when you can fix all of that by just fixing the leadership, the governance under which the people live. So, my point, we have to stop devouring our young. We have to stop chasing our young people away from Islam. When you go to your masjid tonight for Maghrib, look at how many young people are there in the masjid. Saturday night, probably not many. Because they're tired of this stuff, man. They're tired of this is the way that Islam is being shoved down our throats, pushed into our faces, superimposed on us. And the fact of the matter is that we don't really have any power at all, if you realize it. Even as parents, once our children get a certain age, we don't have any power on them. We can threaten them all day long, take stuff away from them, kick them out of the house. But at the end of the day, you want your children to be autonomous and you want them to be responsible for their actions. Our job is not to control their behavior. Our job is to instill within them the consciousness of Allah for them to control their behavior. That's our job. Our job is not to control another human being's behavior. Our job is to instill within you the consciousness of Allah, the awareness of Allah, the love of Allah, and let you govern your own behavior. And that is the way that we run. We really try. Let's start with the 25 irrefutable laws of leadership by John C. Maxwell. I think every good leader, every imam should take a peek into that book. If you don't have, and that's just and he's a Christian, but at the same token, along the same lines of, spirituality and, running a masjid, running a faith-based community. Then find a Muslim book. If that doesn't suit your fancy, then, find something Islamic that along the same lines. I personally can read whatever. I don't live by those standards. I know. I'm just saying for those in the back who are wondering. At any rate, this is what I wanted to present, man. It's just really sad that this is the 21 irrefutable law. Thank you for that correction. Right. Just wanted to take some time out, man. To address some of the stuff that has been going on. Last few nights of Ramadan, man, the shayateen have been out. Another thing I wanted to remind you guys of. Yeah, coffee is room temperature. Gonna have to get another one. Another thing, 2 more things before I end. Number 1, I was sent a clip yesterday about the Nation of Islam being welcomed to Saudi Arabia. I would be remiss if I did not address this. The Nation of Islam was welcomed to Saudi Arabia just recently. They went to go perform Umrah. And the government of Saudi Arabia welcomed them there. So the guy is on the video, they have a Saudi, delegation that is taking them from place to place, right? From one place to another. And on the video, the guy is saying right there, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and, Master Fard Muhammad, who they believe that Allah came down, God came down in the form of Master Fard Muhammad. So, let me just say this. The Nation of Islam, those who hold Master Fard Muhammad to be Allah reincarnated, or believe in Allah but hold Elijah Muhammad to be the messenger of Allah sent to the black man, my belief is that they are not Muslim. They are no different, in my eyes, than Jews and Christians. They are of a completely different religion. It is not the religion of Islam. That is not Islam. It is actually counter to the beliefs, the Islamic beliefs that we have in our tradition. We believe that there is no messenger or prophet after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and anyone who believes that there is another prophet or messenger after Prophet Muhammad, then he has disbelieved in the second part of the Shahada, which is Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. They are disbelievers, period. And anyone believes that God came down in the form of a man, right? They have nothing to do with Islam. I see them as I see Jewish people, Christians, Hindus, and any other religion. They have nothing to do with Islam. They have nothing to do with Islam. I don't care if they pray 5 times a day. I don't care if they fast the month of Ramadan. I don't care if they have the name Islam. I don't care if they give the greeting of salam. I don't care if they call you brother. I don't care. This is my belief about them. This is my belief about them. And that doesn't mean that I am disrespectful to them. This does not mean that, we should be disrespectful to them. All right? I had a guy who came to me. I was in Newark, New Jersey at an iftar. And I had a guy came to me and was like, listen, I follow the Nation of Islam, brother, but I really appreciate, the work that you do. I listen to you. And what I'll do, peace, respect. I don't discriminate. I don't discriminate. And we're not disrespectful to them. But we make it clear that I do not hold you to be a Muslim. I don't hold you to be a Muslim. And this is something that we have to stand firm on. So Saudi Arabia inviting them to perform Umrah while they are openly professing belief in Elijah Muhammad as being the messenger sent to the black man, and believe, Master Farad Muhammad is God reincarnated. To me, we can no longer say that Saudi Arabia is the land of Tawheed. I'm sorry. That title is no longer. You guys can still play games, and I've said this before. You guys can still play games. Saudi Arabia is the standard, the land of Tawheed, and the scholars and all that other. You can say whatever you want to say. Saudi Arabia today is not the Saudi Arabia it was when I was there. Completely different change of the guard, completely different environment. You guys can still, because some of you love a comfort zone. You get into that space and you don't want to come out of that. I'm sorry, I move with time. I see things, I'm a realist. I see things as it is, not as I want it to be. But Saudi Arabia today is not the Saudi Arabia of yesterday. And you guys have to be honest with yourselves, right? If, in fact, Saudi Arabia invited the Nation of Islam, knowing, you can't say, well, they didn't know, right? They probably didn't know, or they're giving them dawah, because you have brothers that will make 1,000,001 excuses for them. Saudi Arabia, they're not stupid. They know what these people believe. And you think by inviting them there, allowing them to profess their kufr and their shirk right there at the haram? I mean, it's just heart crunching. Like when I listen to the video and he's at the Kaaba, he's at right there in the haram in Mecca. All praise is due to Allah. We still, we still believe in Master Farad Muhammad, and I'm just like, wow. And the Saudis are standing right there, just accommodating them, mashallah. And we can say all day long, well, that's under the guise of giving them dawah, not while they're there professing their beliefs. They're not coming back having a change of heart as they see Islam. No, that only reinforces what they believe. That only reinforces what they believe. And, you guys have to be aware of what's happening here. Pay attention. Stay woke. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. I don't have time for, questions and answers. I think, I've spoken more than enough at this point. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. July 20th, 19th to the 21st. July 19th to the 21st. Managing the Flow Orlando. We'll be in Orlando, Florida. I posted pictures of the facility that we'll be at. Inshallah ta'ala, for those of you who are married, those of you who are single, looking for marriage, if you're seriously looking for marriage, then you need to go hit up Hassan and Naila's Facebook page, register, get your ticket now. Inshallah ta'ala, we will be conducting workshops. There will be some outdoor activity. As you can see, the facility has, pool, water slide, and all of those things. So if you're married and you're looking for some time, to spend with your spouse over a weekend where you can actually learn some tools, some tips, please register for Managing the Flow Orlando, Florida. That will be July 19th through the 21st, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. Thank you for your patience. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to, benefit from the best of what we've heard. Sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallama tasliman kathira. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.